This is from Luke. It's a parable. Someone in the crowd said to him, "Teacher, tell my brother to divide the family inheritance with me." But he said to him, "Friend, who set me to be a judge or an arbitrator over you?" And he said to them, "Take care and be on your guard against all kinds of greed, for one's life does not consist in an abundance of possessions." Then he told them a parable. The land of a rich man produced abundantly, and he thought to himself, "What should I do, for I have no place to store my crops?" Then he said, "I will do this. I will pull down my barns and build larger ones, and there I will store all my grain and my goods. And I will say to my soul, 'Soul, you have ample goods laid up for many years. Relax, eat, drink, and be merry.' But God said to him, 'You fool, this very night your life is being demanded of you, and the things you have prepared, whose will they be? So it is with those who store up riches for themselves, but are not rich towards God.'"
That's a very interesting parable, isn't it? It's kind of not one that we kind of think of because we don't store up treasure in barns, or do we?
Well, I suppose the abundance of land is not a concept we think about very often. We see abundance of land in our food markets, but I suppose if you internalise it, it's more like the abundance of your gifts. We don't, well, society is said to be greedy, isn't it? But in people's everyday family life, their abundance is spent on their children, looking after their grandparents, looking after their own parents. I don't circulate with people who have great silos full of funds. I mean, think of the people that did store up their funds in finance companies, and it's all come crashing round. If this parable means anything to anybody, it means an awful lot to people who thought that their abundance could be repossessed at some stage later in their lives.
But I like your idea about it, talking about the gifts we have and what do we do with
That's
the
what
gifts.
it speaks to me of, yes.
Yeah.
How do you treat the abundance you have? You can wear yourself out gifting yourself to people, but there's always a reward, isn't there? His reward would have been there. What was his alternative, you would ask, rather than building bigger silos?
Right.
Sharing with his neighbours and with his workers. And that would have been a really enrichment of what he says his soul. I love the thing, his concept that once he stored up abundance in his barn, he could tell his soul to relax and eat and drink. How do I tell my soul to relax and eat and drink? When I felt that I really done something which is gratifying to me as my life's contribution, that I've really done something to the well-being of the earth and to others, to my family, yes.
And it's certainly all right for us to recognise that, isn't it? But it's what we do with that.
With the abundance.
And whether we go beyond recognition to self-congratulation and holding on to the...
Yes, and gripping it to yourself.
Yes.
And the other thing in our days, I would think, forcing the earth to give more than it's capable of giving is a concept that we would need to examine, isn't it? That there would be an abundance of the earth and there's an abundance of the sea, but all we want is enough to feed us, enough to make everybody free of famine.
Yeah, if the resources of the earth were fairly shared, no one would be dying of hunger.
Exactly.
And
if you increase the abundance so that you can store up riches, and perhaps that's what's happening in our world.
And maybe it means too that, like, I have a vegetable garden, so when I get too many vegetables, give it to my neighbour. Don't let them rot in the ground.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. And that does happen because the crop comes on too rapidly and you have all of something at the same time. Trying to graduate your crop regime is a real art. Now, he had no art in the way he was producing. He just had a good year. What did he do with the good year? Well, it's quite astounding, isn't it? And the other thing is, there's no secret meaning in this parable.
No, it's right
You
out
don't,
there.
yeah,
isn't it?
exactly. You don't imagine at the end of they said, "Teacher, tell us what this meant." You
But
know what
mean,
it meant.
God's answer in the parable, "You fool, this night your life is being demanded of you." And
Yeah.
it's kind of like, wow, it's right up in your face. You know,
Yes,
you don't
yes.
know when you are going to die. So don't assume
Yeah.
that you have many years to do the things that you know you ought to be doing.
Get the goodness in now.
Yes, that's right.
But that's interesting. Your life will be demanded of you. But he says here, I am not to be your judge or arbitrator. But then he says, you fool, this night,
Yes.
your life will be demanded of you. And judgment will come. I wish that had to come more gently.
Yeah.
Oh, be careful. Or, not you fool, this night. Well, I suppose Luke felt he was talking to a group that had to have that
Well,
said to
if
them.
they're a bit obdurate, I know
Yes.
that the writing style was to say things 10
Yes.
times over, like
Yes.
that business about hating your family.
Yeah, exactly.
Jesus never told us to hate our
Yes,
family.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, yes, there's a gentle reminder that once you've gone, none of the crop will go with you.
So maybe that's something I can take home and have a think about.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Thanks
Your
awfully.
abundance is for others.
Yeah, thank you for sharing with me.
That's all right, Steph.